Tamily. Welcome to interview 135. Our guest today will be Tara, and her Instagram name is Tara Struss underscore. So follow her if you aren't already, and we will be connecting in just a second. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being our 135th interview, Tara. We're super excited.
Thank you. I'm psyched to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, of course, we have some questions planned, but if anyone has a question, they can type it into the chat and we will scroll through and make sure we get to all of them.
Yay.
So let's go ahead and get started. We'll start with our favorite question, which is when and how did you get involved with the Tracy Anderson Method?
So it's a little bit of a longer story. I bought Meta probably about like 10 years ago at this point. I have always struggled with my weight and never found something that I could really stay consistent with and that I also enjoyed. And I bought Meta, I got the whole set of DVDs, and I think I tried it like once or twice and I couldn't even make it through. And it literally sat on my shelf for years and years. And about 6-ish years ago, I was going through a really bad breakup, and I needed something that would benefit me instead of like going out and drinking every night until 2 a.m. or going shopping. And I was just like, that's it. Like I threw the gauntlet down for myself and I started, and I was just really blown away by how much it affected me, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally too.
So did you finish Metamorphosis?
I did.
And then did you go to Continuity?
I didn't go to Continuity. I ended up joining the streaming.
Okay.
Because I think around the same time streaming had been going for a few months, and I was just like, I wanted to go into that next phase.
Yeah, it's hard to resist the energy and excitement around streaming.
It is. It's amazing.
So, what's your routine with your workout? Like, which workouts do you do? And, do you ever switch around?
Yeah. Well, I do typically now, like over this past year, I've been doing Attain pretty regularly. I'm going to say like 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes more if I feel like my body can handle it. And then Fundamental, like 2 times. And I usually do it in the morning. I'll wake up, I have some water, I have my coffee, and then, just go right into it. And it's, like a great way to start the day and feel like really accomplished and feel really just, it makes me feel super good about myself that's probably the hardest thing I'm going to do all day is already done.
Right. Definitely. That certainly helps. What made you choose the Tracy Anderson Method over other workout methods?
Well, in the past, like years ago, anytime that I had ever gotten into like a workout or fitness or diet program, it was always, I just didn't like any of it. Like I hate treadmills. I think they're awful. Elliptical, all of it just bored me to tears. And also anytime I would do like any weighted, like, at a gym, like regular weighted exercises, I always felt like it made me like super like bulky in places. And, I'm 5'9.5", and I'm like a larger build. So it's like the last thing that I ever wanted to do was do an activity that I felt like would make me bigger. So I never had really good results, and I could never stay with it because it just always was like sameness constantly. Like you go to the gym, you do like the same, like whatever exercises, you run on the treadmill, and like, that's it. And so I would constantly be bored and stop. And if I lost any weight, I would always gain it back. And so the appeal of Tracy to me, where she's talking about working smaller muscle groups and, bringing things in, and, her whole concept of like not bulking and constantly switching it up constantly having new stuff to do was really, really, really appealing to me. And, the results were like, I mean, amazing in the beginning. And there still are now. But in the beginning, I was like, oh, shit. Like, it was just like, okay, this is just going to be like what I do from now on. And it's great.
So what kind of results did you see, and how long do you think it was until you were seeing results?
Well, in the beginning, when I was doing Meta and I was working through that program, I was losing weight like pretty quickly because I was also about 100 pounds heavier at the time than I am now. So of course, when you have so much weight to lose, it's just like flying off you, which was amazing. That really kept me motivated to keep doing it. And, for me, the internal effects of this workout are, I mean, to me, they're just as important and just as vital as the physical results that I've seen. The emotional release and the challenging yourself when you are doing, let's say like you're doing the streaming program and on Thursday, there's a move where you can like either just not get, or you can do like 2 or 3 reps. And then as you go through the week, the growth that you see within yourself is just, I mean, I love that. I love that feeling like on day 4 where you just feel like so accomplished.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny that never like goes away. Like even if you're 3, 4, 5, 10 years into the method,
yeah,
you're still seeing that kind of progress.
Yeah. And it's really like humbling in that way, because you could do like 6 days of a series and you're like, you feel, like you're on top of the mountain like Rocky or something, and then Thursday morning comes and you're just like, oh my God, I can't. Like
right?
And I really love that though, because it gives you something to work towards all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I just don't see how any other method like really provides that kind of progress.
Yeah.
And newness like at the same time.
Yeah. Same.
So we have a question in the chat. It's not relative to Tracy, but I'm sure that many people want to know this. McDance Love said she would like to know how old you were when you first started singing.
Well, I think my mom is watching this, which is so cute. Hi, Mommy. So I just she has told me that when I was like 2 and 3 years old, apparently I started talking when I was pretty young. And she's told me that she would say to her father, my grandpa, every word is like a song. And I always used to love like singing in my bedroom to, whatever was on the radio. But I started taking lessons when I was like, I want to say like 9-ish. So yeah, and I've just been singing like since then.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell us more about your singing and like how people might be able to hear you or learn more about it.
Well, I was doing a lot of performing and writing with one of my closest friends, and she's also a kick-ass musician, a woman named Sarah Glassman. In New York, I was doing a lot of shows with her, and then COVID happened, so I haven't been doing much like in a sort of like a public sort of way, if you will. But I have a little mic set up here, and I have like a little vocal booth. So I'm working on music now, and I'm also like doing some voiceovers and stuff too, because I found that I missed it so much. Like I didn't realize how much I missed it until I started like practicing and like recording things, even just for fun, without even the goal of like releasing it into the world. But yeah, so I'm working on stuff, and I will be sure to post it all over the place like an obnoxious person when I have things ready.
So McDance Love has another question for you, kind of about singing. She said, how has the method helped power your vocal cords?
Oh, in a lot of ways, because, singing is a lot of not just like being able to like work through the phrase, but also to be able to move within the music and be expressive. You know, of course, when you're performing it on stage, and but also the physical strength and the physical aspects of this workout where you're constantly like learning new things about your body and new muscles and like new ways to take a deep breath and pull in through your back and breathe in deep through your lungs, or really like, you know, contract your abs if you're singing a long phrase or something like that. So in that physical aspect way, it's really made a big difference. And then also, you know, the performing aspect of the method too. It's definitely given me a certain level of comfort's not really the word, but like a little bit more of an ease, because I always get like, you know, adrenaline. I always get a little nervous. But you know, the performative aspect of this method has definitely given me a big boost in that way too.
I think that's a good point. Maybe it isn't like comfort, but being like, I don't know, comfortable in your body instead of disconnected. Like,
Yeah.
How Tracy talks about that, and you know, we don't even realize that like we're all like some level of physically disconnected.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have thought about like that really impacting something like singing, but I mean, it impacts everything.
It does. And that's a really good point, because it gives us like a certain like knowledge of our being. And when like you said, when you feel more at ease with yourself, it really will just kind of like affect you in so many positive ways.
Yeah, definitely. Have you ever met Tracy?
I have. I met her twice. The first time was she had a DVD signing at Barnes and Noble in Union Square.
Oh, wow.
I guess it was like it was probably like 5 years ago, because I had a surgery. I had a very large tumor. And so I had to have a pretty major surgery, and I didn't work out for like 4 or 5 months because of it. And I met her, and I wasn't able to work out at the time. And I like saw her and just like started crying. I was like, "Your method has changed my life." La, la, la. And she was so sweet. She was like total, like so lovely. And then I guess it was about a year and a half ago, there was a meetup in New York, and I went out to lunch with like Rebecca and Emily and a couple other, Georgia Alexandra was there, and we were all just sort of talking about our method journey. And I had talked to them about it, and Rebecca knows Surrey. Everybody knows Surrey. And the next day, Tracy happened to be teaching a class at 59th Street. And I went and I met Surrey because Rebecca was like, "Go meet Surrey." And then Surrey was like, "I want you to meet Tracy." And so I did get to speak to Tracy a couple minutes after the class. And I was like, "You've helped me lose like 100 pounds. Like, your method is just amazing." And she, even after the class, if anybody's ever done a class there, you know, like you are just drenched with sweat, and you're like, I turned bright red. I'm exhausted. And she just, even at the end of the class, after she had taught, she was just so warm and like really patient. And she was like really engaging with me in a very, very like real and personable way. And I was like, she's the real deal. She's amazing.
She is. Oh, she is. Oh, that's so awesome. So we have another question in the chat from Natalie. She said, when you tam on your roof in front of that beautiful bridge, so do you have a regular peeping Tom watching you? And who motivates you to get to the mat? So 2 very different questions.
I don't think that there's one. I would hope that there's not. It's the risk that you run doing anything outside New York City. I mean, yeah. There's a lot of weird people in this town, but I love it. But I also really love like the outside workouts, and I just cannot wait until that first like 55, 60-degree day, I'm going back outside. I can't take it. And then what was the second part of her question? I'm sorry.
Who motivates you to get to the mat?
I don't think there's like a specific person. And I also kind of think that if you're like sitting around waiting for motivation, that train's never going to come. Like, I think the idea of motivation is great, but I also think it's kind of bullshit. And, you know, just sitting around waiting to be motivated to do something is a really good way to waste a lot of time. And I struggle with this too. Like, there's a lot of time where I don't want to work out, or like whatever it is that I have a goal in mind about, or something that I want to do, and I'm just like, well, I'm just not motivated, and I'm gonna sit here. It doesn't work. Like, it's way better, if I don't feel like I have an hour to give to something, like just do beginner for 30 minutes, or like just do the arms, like just do arms for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then see how you feel going through that. So I always just try to, give myself like that little push on the days when it's really hard to do it, because I think we all have those days. I would hope that we do. So, because you can do anything for like 10 or 15 minutes. If I really don't want to, I'm like, just go do the arms, and then you can watch Law and Order all day, whatever. Then, usually I'm just like, well, I'm already broken a sweat, so I might as well just keep going. So, yeah. Right. So sometimes you got to kick your own butt.
Who in the Tamily inspires you?
There's so many amazing people. Just opening up Instagram every day and seeing everybody do this all over the world is, it's one of the best and most inspiring things. Emily Hansen, of course, because I love her. Everybody loves Emily. She's the little sunshine. Suri's amazing. Like, she'll post in her stories at like 5:30 in the morning. She's going to class, and I'm just like, oh my God, bless you. She's like the nicest. She's so kind. I love Nat Glow, and I'm sorry if I'm just using everybody's handles. You're always on here. You're doing your thing. Who else? I like Susan Rothman and Tracy Fit Family, and I just saw Turbo Corbett's interview with Tracy the other day, and I wasn't following her. I didn't know who she was, but I saw that, and I was like, oh, there's just like the collective of people that do this method, I think are just, I think we're all the best. And
Totally.
Yeah, everybody is just like unbelievable.
I completely agree. I always say this workout isn't for everyone. It's for an elite group of people.
Yeah, it is.
How do you personally stay, I know you talked about motivation, but how do you keep a regular routine around your workout?
It's pretty easy for me to keep like a regular routine about it. Just because it's always like, just sort of like a box that I want to check every single day, like brushing your teeth or something like that. I do take rest days, like one or two a week, of course. But it's, I like to just have my coffee and like, just go into it. I try not to like eat or anything beforehand unless I'm super duper hungry, because then it's like, now I got to wait an hour and a half, and then I want to go do something else, and then I want to, and I'm just like, and then it never gets done. So it's easy for me to just, well, not easy. It's the best way for me to make sure that I do it is to just kind of like have my coffee, do my little morning hangout, my little morning rituals, and then just go into it.
So, we have a related question from Tam Addict. She was saying, what time of day do you work out? Obviously, you're saying in the morning, but particularly when you work out outside, do you work out later if you're going to do it outside?
It depends. A lot of it is weather dependent. There were a few times in the summer when I found myself out there, like, I'll you know, depending on life, I may sleep till like 9, 10.
Mm-hmm.
Because I usually go to bed like sometime around like 1 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
But there were times in the summer where I would find myself outside, like doing the workout at like 11:30 or 12 and just dying because it was like 95 degrees out there.
Yeah.
So if I can get outside like in, you know, like the 10ish time is ideal. But if it's like a little bit colder, I might wait till later or just like try and wear more layers.
Mm-hmm.
But also, once you're doing it for like 20 or 30 minutes,
Yeah.
you're kind of like, you know, you're warmed up enough. So,
Right. Yeah. What would be your advice to someone that is new to the Tamily or new to the method?
come at it with an open mind and an open like heart for, I mean, if you can keep that thought process, it will really help you a lot, because I know, even when I started, of course, I was nowhere near any sort of athlete or, you know, anything at all, but it's very different. So I think in the beginning, it can be really challenging because you just, you know, you're doing this with your arms for like 8 minutes and you're just like, what's happening? What are we doing? And I think going through that, where there's like an emotional blockage because you're like, this is weird, this isn't doing anything. But if you can sort of create a new mindset that like, we're going to just try something different and see how it goes and like be really open about it, I think is a good a good attitude to have.
Mm-hmm.
And from like a actual performance perspective, I think if you can use mirrors,
Mm-hmm.
those were so helpful to me when I started, because it's like you think your knee is here when really it's here, and you get like that real-time feedback with yourself to be able to see how to improve.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think the filming is great for that too, because even now, even if I don't post, I almost always film the workout just so I can kind of skim through and see where I have room for improvement. And then also, if you're new, I would encourage you to like just post things on Instagram, because we're cheering you on already. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I know it's always like a big deal to like post the first time or whatever.
yes.
I mean, especially in the Tamily, you're going to get so much positive feedback. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's nothing to be nervous about.
No. And also, I think, you know, don't, or try your best not to like compare where you are where anybody else is, because you can easily like scroll through like the, you know, the Tracy Anderson Method tags and just see people doing like splits on chairs and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it will kind of scare you off because you think that that's like, oh, you'll never get there or whatever, but that's not really what it's about. That's just where that person is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you can't get there if you want to get there too, but where you are is, you know, a good place to start.
Mm-hmm. We have a question from Emily in the chat.
Ah, hi,
She
Em.
said, you have such a great style on and off the mat. What inspires you rather than who inspires you?
Well, I will say that feeling more confident in my body and myself, and, you know, having lost a lot of weight through the method, of course, has really helped me embrace like, I'm gonna wear a jumpsuit, or I'm gonna wear like a bunch of glittery jewelry and what have you. I've always, even when I was like a teenager, I always really, really loved fashion. I love like the expressive nature. I love beautiful things. I love like things that are unique and original. And so I don't think there's any one thing in particular that inspires me, although I've always had a fondness for anything sparkly since I was like, my mother will tell you, since I was like 6 months old, if it had glitter on it, I wanted it. So anything sparkly is usually pretty good. And I just like to, you know, wear things that make me feel good and energized and empowered and cool. And you know, that's different for everybody. And it's different for me depending on the day of the week. I mean, I've spent the past year in like sweatpants.
Right.
I was so excited to put on makeup and like jeans today. Oh my God. It was great.
Well, it's a big day.
It is a big day.
Kristen has a great question. She said, what style of music do you like to work out to the most?
That is a really good question. I don't think I could pick, if I had to pick like one style, it would probably be like rock and roll, which I know is a huge umbrella, but you know, like AC/DC or Soundgarden, Rolling Stones, anything that's got like some attitude and some energy to it. That would be like my go-to.
Yeah.
And you know, but I love so many different genres. There's times where I'm just like, I just want hip hop or I just want dance music. And, you know, so I have playlists where I kind of put like a little bit of everything in there. But if I had to choose one, it would just be like rock and roll.
What would be your advice to someone that's not new to the method, but they're not feeling motivated to work out?
I would say if there's like a deeper thing happening in your life, like whatever it is, I know for me, if you have, you know, a bad day, a bad time at work, or like, you know, your roommate or whoever is driving you crazy, if you have a roommate or like whoever you're living with, like if you're having some sort of external thing, try your best to not let that affect you internally or find a way to work through it. So I think checking in with yourself, like what's really going on, even though that's like kind of, it can be like a really scary conversation to have with yourself, but I think it's really important. But then also, again, it's like the mental Jedi mind trick I had to do with myself. It's like, just do arms for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because you know that, and you can do 10 minutes of anything, just do that and like see how you feel. And like usually by then, like if you're really doing the arms, like more than likely you've probably broken a sweat and it's like, well, I've already done this. I'm already sweaty. I'm gonna have to blow out my hair again. So I might as well just do more. Even if it's just, you know, like beginner or something. Beginner is still like a really good place. Like if you're short on time or short on like energy or whatever, there's so much you can do without having to do like splits upside down on a chair, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
But there really are no easy workouts. I mean, even the bonus content that can be like 10 minutes is still like challenging. Like,
I know.
It's not like I'll do start thinking, okay, I'm giving myself a break, and then I'm like, this is not really a break. This is still a workout. So, you know, it is definitely, like you said, doing something or just doing arms is always better than nothing, and it might give you that momentum.
Yeah, for sure. And then also like depending on what class you usually do, maybe like level down if you really don't feel like. There have been times when I'm just like, I can't do all the crazy like I can't, and then you know that I know is a moment for me to just like, okay, just do fundamental or just do start, because sometimes you need like a little like headspace to help you.
Yeah, that makes sense. What challenges have you faced in doing the method?
I mean, like, honestly, like, especially in the beginning, like all of it, even just trying to, you know, create the time for myself to do it, especially in the beginning, because I was working in a restaurant in Times Square, and I would be on my feet for like 12 hours a day, and just getting home at 1 a.m, not going to bed until 2 or 3. And the next day, all I want to do is sleep. I don't want to give myself the time to work out. And it was a difficult lifestyle and cycle for me to just kind of like bust through that. So that was a big challenge initially. Now, you know, sometimes the challenge is just like, I don't wanna, to be totally honest. And, you know, but then always there's little tiny miraculous moments of growth that only I know about when I'm doing it. You know, like the Attain like 2 weeks ago where there was like the lifty weight this way and then you do this and your leg goes out. It took me 5 or 6 tries, you know, 5 or 6, you know, days of doing that to be able to get those reps down and to understand the momentum and the push pulling and like everything that was happening. And that when I have those moments, it's like, oh, this is so like, it just gives you something that you just don't get anywhere else. I mean, I think.
Right.
So
Right.
it's constantly challenging. And I think that's, uh-oh. Did I lose you? Are we here? Okay.
With a freeze for a second. All right. Sabrina has a question in the chat. She said, are there times on and off the method over time? So like, have you, you know, kind of strayed away from it, and then what brings you back to it if that has happened to you?
I haven't done any other workout program since I started Tracy. Again, in the beginning, it was difficult for me to like stay consistent with it. I had like bad habits of, I'd work out for one day and then I wouldn't work out for 2. I'd work out for 2 days and then I wouldn't work out for 3 or 4. So, but I always went back to it because especially with like Meta, it was just like, I want to do the 10 days of the series. And I still have all the little post-its, like the crazy Virgo that I am, where I like checked off every day. So it was something that just like kind of kept me like going back. It's like, you've come this far, you know, keep going. Mm-hmm. And there's other workouts that like, you know, kind of look cool to me, or I have other people that do like, you know, whatever. And I'm like, that's amazing. I like Tracy.
Right. Like, yeah, I think there's people that, you know, they might like to try different things.
Yeah.
And like Tracy, but then there's the faction of people that are like, nope, this is all I need. I'm not
exactly. It's all that I need.
Yeah. There isn't anything any better for me, you know, but of course the best workout is the one that you're going to do. And obviously everyone should work out. So 100%. It doesn't have to be for everybody, but you know, for those of us that it's forever.
It is.
What is something that you have learned from Tracy?
Many things. They can run the gamut from, you know, recipes, or, you know, just a good way to like have balance. She always talks about balance, like ways to balance in your life. And of course, just, you know, physical movement and the things that we're doing all the time. I mean, most of the stuff I do every day, I'm like, I never would have thought I'd be able to do some of these things. Mm-hmm. So there's an immense amount of learning from her, for like, you know, being able to find your own like physical experience in copying her, and you kind of like find that within yourself. Mm-hmm. But you're also still learning from her at the same time. I feel like I didn't like get that point across, but it's you're constantly being challenged and like forced to get out of a comfort zone and forced to grow. Mm-hmm. And, you know, having an open mind and an open heart about things is probably the best, you know, the best things that I've learned about this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. It's like she teaches us, but then you find it within yourself. But you never would have found it if it wasn't for her.
It's true. Yeah. It like really, really.
Yeah. So Better Tam Than Never. That's an excellent name.
That is good.
She said, "What are your thoughts on dance cardio? Do you love it or loathe it?"
I have, it's the dancing when I was doing Meta, especially because I think, if I remember correctly, I think the Meta program was like between 30 and 40 minutes. And then you'd have like the little dance, the dance DVDs, I think were like half hour.
Yeah.
I fell in love with it doing that program. And then when I started doing streaming, like I kind of really slacked off a bunch. But now, well, actually I hurt my toe a little bit last week. So now I'm taking a little bit of like I have to pull back a little because I don't want to re-injure myself.
Yeah.
But I have been doing like the 15-minute bonus dance cardios after, you know, whatever class I do. And those are perfect for me. I really, really dislike the first 7 to 10 minutes of it, just to be honest, because I'm just like, I'm exhausted and I'm out of breath and I like want to stop. But then, you know, once you get to like a certain point, usually it's about 10 minutes in where I'm just like, okay.
Right.
So, and then the Catalyst ones I really do like because I like the feeling of like, I have learned the dance in the past 30 minutes. But usually when I do Catalyst, I either do like a beginner class that day because I like to do like an hour and 15 is like my target point. Yeah. And I don't like, personally, for me to do like a Catalyst class after I do Attain, it's just, that's not gonna happen.
Right. Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm never doing a Catalyst class, so it's not happening, but even for 10 minutes of it, oh gosh. What advice have you received from someone in the Tamily that has been impactful to you?
That's a good question. I think, you know, not just like advice per se, but honestly just like seeing everybody every day at all times of the day when I check Instagram, seeing people like post their workouts and, you know, reading their little blurb about like what they're going through, or, you know, seeing them like kind of conquer a move that they couldn't do a couple days ago. You know, those things are all very, they're very important to me in a way. Like it really matters to me to see people that out in the internet that I like care about and feel a connection to, you know, sharing like their wisdom. But I will also say that Courtney, this was like a couple years ago, Courtney put out it must be a Catalyst cardio that was like 55 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know if it's still up, but I'm sure it is. But you know, like she's Courtney. She's like she's just radiant. And I went to a class and I asked her, I was just like, girl, I can't get through it. Like I could do like 15 minutes. And she just looked at me like with all like the kindness in her heart. And she was like, yes, you can. That to me, like I think about that moment so much because it wasn't like, yes, you can. It wasn't like that angry militant like workout thing that you come across in the world. But she was just like, yes, you can. You know, maybe you can't do it today, maybe not tomorrow, but like you absolutely can. And so when I'm having my moments where I'm like, I can't do a split, it's like, yes, you can. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but you absolutely can.
Right. Oh my gosh, that is so inspiring. I love Courtney.
Everybody loves Courtney.
She is the best.
She is the best.
We have another question from Karina. She said, talking about weight loss, Tracy suggests focusing on cardio more than mat work. Is that your experience?
I will say that when I'm doing the cardio like really consistently, like I can be a little off the rails with my diet and I won't see a change in a negative way. And then of course, like in the beginning when I started with Meta, I was doing the cardio very regularly and it was just like really helped me drop weight. So if, if you're looking to lose weight, I personally, my own experience is that the cardio will definitely help you like to drop pounds. But I know like it's tough for people to do initially. Again, you're learning a whole new way to be in your body and like jumping around and like following the choreography. So it can be really frustrating, but if you just go past it a little bit, like if you break through that like frustration point, you'll see the change.
Well, and I would say too that, like, at least in my experience, both of them are important to the design and your strength, and
Yeah.
like they both contribute so much. And of course, there's whole factions of people that are never going to do dance cardio, and then those of us that occasionally sometimes get into it and then don't.
Right.
But I think having the foundation of the mat work like helps with that a lot too. And you're getting that cardiovascular workout, whether you're doing any dance cardio or not, but it definitely helps if there is like unwanted weight to lose, for sure.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Where do you live and what do you do?
I live in New York City. And I'm currently, since COVID, I'm unemployed, which is fine. I mean, it's been a year of like pros and cons. It's been wild. But before, I was working in restaurants. I was working in a restaurant in Times Square. I worked in a steakhouse before all this happened. And I don't know what's next, which is kind of exciting and scary at the same time.
Right.
But I love music. I love performing. I love singing. I love writing. That's my real, my real jam.
What are you most proud of personally?
I think the person that I've become and that the person I still choose to be. And what I mean by that is, the world is just wild. Like you can really let everything else like start to affect you. And we all have our moments, like for sure. And you can also let your personal experiences affect you. And like actively choosing to take whatever comes your way and have it be something that you grow through and have it be something that happens for you. Even like the shittiest experience ever. Like I had like a 6-pound tumor removed from my right ovary, which was by no means a fun experience, but I think it helped me become like a way, 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 way better person. But that was a choice that I made. That was me saying, this is horrible. This is garbage. This fucking sucks. Sorry. But it's, carrying that emotion around with you is a really not cool way to live your life or spend your time. And trying to have tough conversations with myself and being like, this is where you are and that's okay. But you have to like find a way to move through it and to let it change you, but like in a positive way. And I really do think that those are like active choices that we have to make. How is something gonna affect you? So I feel really proud of myself, excuse me, that even terrible experiences that I've gone through, or even like seeing what's happening out in the world, I really feel like it's not changing who I am and like, my heart and my soul and my spirit and all of those sorts of things. So
definitely. What is the most important Thing that you do to maintain balance in your life?
I think it's someone that really struggled a long time with food, and overeating and eating bad thing, bad things, and having a lot of shame around that. I think now when I have a cannoli or some pasta or like, you know, fried chicken, whatever, I really feel like that I enjoy it, and it's, you know, like a special moment in time. And, you know, I don't really carry like the shame and the baggage about that with me. And, you know, which I think is really not good cycle to be in. So having those moments, I think for me is like, okay, well, I'm going to have like a smoothie, or I'm going to have salad, or, you know, um, in that way, having those times when I'm not having something that's, you know, not kale, I really appreciate it. And it gives me, you know, for me, it works. It gives me like balance, because I don't feel like totally horribly deprived. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, exactly. I think that's very important.
yeah.
What is something that you can do today that you could not do before you started doing the method?
Well, if it's like workout based, I like literally all of it. I mean, it was just, I couldn't even get through arms when I first started.
Mm-hmm.
And then I even remember when I switched from meta to streaming, getting through the opening ceremony in that, which, you know, is usually like 12-ish minutes. I had trouble doing that when I jumped to that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even now, like within the past couple, you know, like 6-ish weeks or 2 months, with like a lot of the split moves that she's been doing, I was just like, girl, I can't do this. Like, but now it's like I can, not a full one, not like, yeah, but like I have more like range of motion, and I feel more comfortable trying to do something like that. And then also just like a personal standpoint, you know, it's helped me create boundaries, and like the personal growth that I've had through this, and, you know, the regulating of my emotional self, and, you know, what she talks about, like processing through everything is like, I mean, that is a real thing. There have been so many times where I've just like been in a foul mood, or been upset, or just been angry, and you go and do this, and it's like you just sort of feel like you wrung something out of your spirit.
Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. Maggie has a question in the chat. She said, do you ever sing during your Tracy Anderson workouts?
yes.
That's excellent.
I do. I think I've even posted, it might have been something that I posted in my stories, because I was like, I don't want it on the grid forever. But I certainly do, because sometimes when, you know, it's a matter of like the right song and the right movement. But yeah, I sure do. It makes the time go.
What is a Tam move that you used to hate that you now love?
That's a good question. I think, I don't even know how to really describe it, but it's sort of like when you're on one arm, like you're seated, and then you swing your opposite leg out.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what the hell that is even called.
But
yeah, it's in fundamental this week. I'm sure you all know, but I remember when I first started coming across them in the classes, I was just, oh, I hated it. Oh my God, I couldn't do it. But now it's just like, it's kind of fun. Like you just swing your leg out and it comes back, and you like take a breath and you do it again. And so that was a move for a long time, was just a torture device to me. But I like it now.
Yeah, I was the same way. I think there was like a long time that I couldn't even figure out how to lift my hip off the ground.
Yeah.
For that move. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's strength, but it's also weight, but it's also like just a mental thing too.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. We need a name for that move.
Somebody name that move.
Yes. So this interview has been flying by. It's so
I know.
Talk to you, Tara.
I know.
Who do you think we should interview in future Ask Tamily interviews?
Um, I would love to learn more about L Boogie Tam.
Okay.
Um, I follow her. I love her. She's super cool. She's super cute. I love all her little pigtails. And we were actually messaging a couple days ago, and I found out she's American, but she's living in Abu Dhabi. And I would just like love to learn more about her and her journey, because I think that she sounds super cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. We can
Yeah.
definitely add her to the list. So Emily and Maggie have decided to call that move a peekaboo, which is hilarious and I guess accurate. So
Yeah,
that's what we'll call it.
that's awesome.
Well, we're coming up in our last few minutes before Instagram automatically cuts us off. So I wanted to ask Tara, is there anything else that is important to you that you would like to share with the Tamily while you have this audience?
Ooh. I think it's a great thing for me to like share my journey to people that care about it and are passionate about the same thing that I am. I love the support that I can like sit here and talk to people that most of whom I've never met and be like, oh, I've lost like over 100 pounds, or I had a huge tumor. And like, I love having that beautiful space in that community to be able to have that experience. So like, just, I would love to share with everybody, just like keep being awesome and keep going for it, keep trying like whatever you're doing. And it's helped me so much just like as a person going through the world. And it in a lot of ways it makes me feel like that the best things that I'm going to have in my life are like haven't happened yet, which is really exciting. So I think that just being supportive of each other is wonderful. And I'm here to support people however I can. And I'm just really, really grateful for this, because it's been like so life-changing for somebody that never had physical athletic attributes ever, to be able to have this is like,
yeah, I think that is such a great thing to share, because I think sometimes people look at the method and think like, oh well, that person probably looked pretty close to perfect anyway, and then, or they've just always been athletic or something. And we have a super huge variety of people that do the method, some that never did athletic before. And it's just so inspirational to hear that from you, Tara. And you're really an inspiring, beautiful, spirited member of the family. And it's been awesome getting to know you.
Oh, you too. My middle name is Suzanne, so I feel like so bonded to you, by the way. Yeah.
Well, we absolutely have to meet for real when we do a New York City meetup, which has to be as soon as possible.
I know. As soon as possible.
Yeah, I am
crazy,
like
wild times.
Right. Oh gosh. And Tamily meetups, and I mean even vitality weeks and things in the past. I'm like, it just gives you such energy to meet with and spend time with and work out with. Members of the Tamily, that we've got to do it. And New York City is certainly one of the places that it must happen. So
yes,
we will definitely have to meet.
Yes. Have you been to the studios here?
Only to the Tribeca studio.
Oh, okay.
I haven't been since the 59th Street was open.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do classes at both.
For sure. Absolutely. And tons of stuff in between.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also like, just really quickly to piggyback on something else that you said, I love that there's the philosophy behind this is for everybody to like find their best balance, which is different for everybody. And I think it's really important and key that we all cheer each other on for our own version of what that is.
Right.
So
exactly. We'll all be our best balanced self.
Yes.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much, Tara.
Thank you.
And it'll get posted right now on the Ask Tamily page, and then in a few days it'll be on YouTube forever and ever.
Woo!
Thanks, Tara.
Thank you. Thanks, Suzanne. Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.